5, 4, 3, 2.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the DevOps.com webinar. And today we have a very insightful webinar planned for you on the topic how data-driven secure DevOps influences people, processes, and technology. And as part of this webinar, we have an exciting panelist together with us. And this is Dheeraj Nayal, Global Community Ambassador at DevOps Institute, who is your host and moderator for this webinar. So I would like to introduce our panelists. We have Stephen Wong, DevOps Solutions Lead to Asia Pacific at HCL Software. We have Ashita Dheer, Engineering Uplift Initiatives Lead for Digital and Analytic at HCL Software. We have Ramesh Nagalingam, Continuous Delivery Lab Leader at HCL Software. And last but not the least, Peter Lee, Global API GCD Application Security Technical Leader. So welcome all, and over to you, Stephen, to start with this webinar.
Thank you very much, Dheeraj. And hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Thanks again for taking time out from your busy schedules to attend our session today. We are from HCL Software, as you can see on the screen here. And today we really have a very exciting topic, judging by the number of people that have signed up for this webinar today. We really have something that we think everybody would be very, very interested in. And hopefully, by the end of the session today, you will go away from this webinar, learning something new. So what are we talking about today? So we are talking about data-driven secure DevOps and how that is going to impact, is going to change or have changed the way people work. And that means, how have people changed, how have the processes changed, and how technology, the tools that we use, the technology that we use to build software, how that has changed as well. And to kick off, let me just, give a brief overview of the flow that we are going to go through today. We're going to start with, of course, some introductions to the panelists. As you can, hear from Dheeraj earlier, we have a very, very, strong group of panelists here. My job is easy. I'm just moderating the event, but, we have lots of experts on the call. And then we're going to really dive in and talk about data-driven secure DevOps and what that is. What is data-driven secure DevOps? And then, of course, go into how it has changed the way we work. Certainly, we have Q&A time. And I want to apologize in advance as I am sharing my screen. I can't actually see the chats that's coming in, but I do encourage you, if you have any questions as we are going through, post them in the chat. Dheeraj and the team will be helping us to post those questions to us, so that at the end of the session we will have some time to review it and go through it. But that said, if I have a chance to switch my screen and take a look at it, I'll steal a peek at it if I could. So without further ado, let's start going into the introductions and let's take a look at who we have on the panel today. And we have Ashita. So Ashita comes, well, I'll let Ashita introduce herself, but Ashita comes with a lot of experience from HCL working with external clients. So as you know, HCL is a services organization. We work with many of the Fortune 100, Fortune 1000, Fortune global companies. And Ashita is out there working in the field with these clients, and clients who wants to adopt DevOps, clients who wants to improve and scale up their DevOps approaches. Ashita is there working with them. So she's on the call today. Ashita, do you want to just give a brief introduction about yourself and a little bit about your experience?
Sure. Thank you so much, Stephen. Hello, everybody. This is Ashita, and I've been in IT industry for approximately 20 years. I lead digital transformation, legacy modernization, and engineering upliftment initiatives globally in varied domains. These days, I'm working with the prestigious client in ANZ, in Australia time zone, and there we are working on CIO's strategic objective of improving productivity. How as an organization, productivity can be improved by 2x in the year 2022 and by 5x in the year 2025. This is quite an interesting objective to work with, and Here, I'm going to share my experience and how DevSecOps has changed the way we operate. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Ashita. I'm sure we're going to have a lot of learning that we can get from you today. So next we have Ramesh Nagalingam. And Ramesh is his title is shown there, Continuous Delivery Lab Leader. Now, Ramesh comes with a lot of experience working internally in HCL. Now, Ramesh runs the lab that builds the products that HCL Software sells. So, so he will come with from a perspective of a product company and how secure DevOps, data-driven secure DevOps is utilized and how it has changed the way the team works. Ramesh, do you want to spend some time just introducing yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Steven. So this is Ramesh. I head CD Lab Engineering for product development, HCL Software, multiple products. I came with a background of almost 24 years experience in IT. Started as a developer, and then I had a greater journey in multiple domains. And now I'm very excited to be part of the product development. And I'm very much excited to share some of my learnings and best practices, or want to hear from you what you're also doing in this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramesh. And I certainly will probably learn something new from you today as well. Every time I talk to Ramesh, I learn something new from him. So he's a great guy, willing to share all his knowledge with the team. Third, we have Peter Lee, and he's the global, as well as APJ Greater China Territory Application Security Lead for the technical side of things, and he's part of HCL Software. And Peter comes with, as his title shows, lots and lots of experience around application quality and security, and he's going to come and tell us, share his perspectives on the secure part of secure DevOps. Peter, do you want to just take some time to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Stephen. Hi, everyone. So this is Peter Lee, and so I'm part of the application security team on the technical side for APJ, as well as GCG, and then during my daytime I kind of help out with the worldwide stuff on the application security. So one of the things that I kind of help with customers is we're working with customers around the world with application security, helping them placing one of our favorite tools in HCL Software, which is HCL AppScan tool. And for me, my experience is all around the application security toolings and how we can help with placing them inside of DevOps. We've been doing this for such a long time, and for me, it's been over 14 years in this space, and it's been a lot of fun. And there's a lot of experiences I can share with you on what we see as one of the trends in application security for DevSecOps. And what are some of the things that our customers that are saying in terms of what they're looking for when it comes to DevOps, right? Secure DevOps. So again, I'm very happy to be here and to share some of those experiences with you guys, and hopefully we can learn from each other too.
Cool. Thanks for that, Peter. And for those who don't know, Peter is actually based out of Canada, so it's an ungodly hour for him now, but he's willing and gracious to actually be awake at 1 a.m. in the morning to do this with us. So thanks again, Peter. So a little bit about me. So as I said, I'm the guy who's just going to moderate this, so I don't really need to introduce a lot about myself, but just a little. I am the DevOps solution lead for Asia Pacific. So I, like Peter, I help support the technical sales initiatives in HCL Software in the APAC region. I've been around for a while, but DevOps is my specialty. Okay, so enough about us. Let's go in and start talking about data-driven secure DevOps and what it is. Now, secure DevOps, and I'm going to start with maybe a little bit of a a controversial statement. And don't shoot me if you think I'm making a controversial statement here. But I think I've been working with a lot of customers in the region, out of the region, around the concept of secure DevOps. So I go out there and I talk to customers and try to understand what they're doing today in terms of secure DevOps. And what I find is that there probably out of 10 conversations, 8 of them are really about, we have people very focused on CICD, continuous integration and continuous deployment. And essentially that is really about automation. But we, and I love getting into those conversations because I love to challenge the customers into thinking a little bit higher than just CI/CD. Yeah, CI/CD is something very important to DevOps. It is a key pillar. You can't do DevOps or secure DevOps without it. But that's not all there is to it. I like to bring customers back to the roots of secure DevOps. Or back then we just call it DevOps. Secure is actually part of it. But there's reason that we actually call out secure DevOps. But I like to bring the customers back to the discussion of value delivery. So if we go back and think about DevOps, even in the early days, it's not just about automation. It is really about the delivery of value. And I know saying that sounds very cliche. Everybody talks about delivering value, but that is what it is. DevOps, secure DevOps, is about the value stream. It is about how efficiently are we delivering value to the client. Automation is a key component that enables that. Now that's my perspective talking to the customers that I'm talking to. Now, Ashita, you work with big clients. You mentioned clients who want to go 2 times faster in 2022, 5 times faster in 2025, and other clients. What is your perspective? What do you see out there? Ashita, can you hear me? Or are you muted?
I'm sorry. Yes, I was. Well, yeah, I heard you, and I fully agree with you, Stephen. When we talk to customers or in general, people feel that DevOps is all about CI/CD pipeline setup and done, right?
Yep.
But secure DevOps is really about value. I'll request you to bring in that slide on engineering and agile side. Here. Yeah, this one.
Yep.
Yeah, this one. Thanks. So here at engineering level, this is how typically an organization operates. We have continuous planning layer, we have development, we have operations, and in between we have securities. Now, when we look at an organization as a whole, then it is not just about CI/CD pipelines. We are talking about improved productivity. We are talking about going faster or improved GTMs, right? And here in this, we cannot just say CI/CD pipelines and then things are done. No, we have to look at it holistically. And that is where I want to bring Dora into picture. Dora gives us an overall view of the organization and how at DevOps level the organization is performing. They provide us categories of low, medium, high, and elite. So based on that, here we have evidence-based insights that there is dire need of optimization in the way organizations set up and utilize their DevOps infrastructure. Automation certainly will take us to certain level, but beyond that, there should be continuous cycle of improvement, Kaizen. So when you through VSM, you identify your unique constraint through VSMs, optimize on those areas, and continue streamlining. Because this infinity loop is where the key of productivity lies. So you talk about lead time to change, talk about faster cycles. So we do have DevOps infrastructures in place, but if this loop is not streamlined, then things will not operate. Right. Yeah. So in short, this is where we should focus on.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks for that. Yeah. Thanks for the input, Ashita. I just want to pass the ball to Ramesh now. Ramesh, you head up the development of our products in the product team. Do you see what I see? Or of course not. We are HCL, but but I mean, really, when we talk about secure DevOps in our organization, do we put a lot of focus on CI/CD only, or are we, looking at data-driven secure DevOps as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have been hearing this, DevOps for so many years. I would say 10 plus years, and most of the companies have been either in different maturity level. I would say they may be like 30. The customers that I have interacted with, they say that we have matured, in that area, and some of the few customers, they are in the starting of the journey, right? So definitely, if you see holistically, most of the companies are adopting that, again, so because they see the value. But what we have been hearing is, yes, I have automated everything. I have like CI/CD setup. I have done everything, but the problem is still my release or value delivery is not happening on time. And oftentimes, the CTO of our organization or the group head of the particular business unit, they are thinking like, hey, what is the problem here? I have this automation, everything, but I'd see hardly, few deployments happening in a month. So what is stopping us? Now let us take a bigger industry, right? They have multiple business units, and each of them have definitely following one level or the other level of DevOps there. But some of them may be performing very well or practicing very well. Some of them are not, and those kind of visibility is not there. So though we are most of the customers, or including us, we are kind of mature to some level for the day one DevOps. What we understood from customers is we are not there ready for the day two DevOps. So very quickly, I think we'll be talking about more, deep dive into the data-driven DevOps, very shortly.
Okay.
But this is something that, from my perspective, that we have not done that yet. There are a long way to go to understand more deep into what is causing some of the examples that Ashita has given about, bottlenecks and so on and so forth.
Right. So it sounds like from product management, I'm sure you guys deal with a lot of our big customers, and this is the message you're hearing. Yep, we have CI/CD. We are quite mature in that. Now we want to get to the next level. Help us get there, and that's what it sounds like. The product team is hearing out there, and I guess you're right. There are companies who are more mature than others, and those who are coming up are probably very focused on automation, CI/CD. But those that are not, or those who have gone through the journey, is now looking to grow to the next level, and we're going to talk about what that is.
Yes.
Great. Thanks for that, Ramesh. And Peter, you are more of a product person like myself. What are your perspectives on this? Especially from the point of view of security teams, and what they do as far as secure DevOps is concerned.
Yeah, so what you said is very true. Pretty much every customer that we talk to nowadays, they always bring up CI/CD to us and asking. For the first question you get is, what tools do you integrate? Do you integrate with, does your tool integrate with our CI/CD tool, whether it's Bamboo or Jenkins or whatever they're using? That's kind of the first thing. And I feel like a lot of times, customers fall into that trap thinking, if I do this, then I'm fully, secure DevOps, right? But to be honest, we always take this customer a couple step back and say, take a look at, we take a look at and ask them and see, what is it that you guys are actually trying to measure here? Like, automation is great, but a lot of customers don't realize that they're not at the point where they're ready to do that. So typically we will ask the questions and see whether if they're doing anything in security at all. Sometimes they don't, and they just jump right into that, and they have no clue what they're getting into. So typically, we have to kind of take a couple step back and ask them stuff like, hey, what is it that you're trying to accomplish here? Is it because you just want to make sure that you're scanning and you're getting, some vulnerabilities from that? But, we kind of drive the discussion back into the focus of, what is it that you're trying to be compliant with? Maybe is there something that you have in mind in terms of measuring, the health of the application? We always kind of drive it back to making sure that they have some sort of governance in place before they try to do, CICD. And again, it's just one of those, things where customers feel like if I just jump into CICD right away, then they're on the trend of what everyone's doing. so yeah, like from a, and then it's quite frustrating too, because, not, like I said, not every customer is mature. Like Ramesh has, right, it depends on the maturity of each company and organization. If they're not quite there yet, then automation may not be, the right way to start off, right? So typically we would say, hey, back, many years ago, we used to say DAS first, start with your dynamic analysis testing first, and then slowly build your way up to your automation.
Certainly, and as product person, sometimes, customer says, oh, give me some automation, and we love to give you automation. But I think there's a, a moral principle for us to actually try to understand, we don't want to give you a tool if it's not going to deliver any value for you. As vendors, we want to know what is it you're trying to achieve, right? You mentioned that, get back to that first step. What exactly are you trying to measure? And then, we will prescribe the right product for you, if at all. Maybe you need to do some things first before you even get to that stage. And that's something that I think as product people we should do. Yeah, sounds good. Okay, so I think we kind of have some consensus around that. I know a lot of people are thinking about automation only when we talk about secure DevOps. So what is the topic today? What are we calling out data-driven secure DevOps, and how is it any different? But as I said, right, this whole concept of data-driven secure DevOps, or what I would call value stream management, is something that came from the beginning of DevOps. Right? You go back to the early discussions around DevOps, everybody is talking about value. So I think, but because the industry, maybe it's due to vendors who's pushing software, we have gone down the road of automation and focus on that. But I think it's time to kind of take a step back, call it out, and say, hey, we need this thing called data-driven secure DevOps or value stream management, and give it a name, right? So just like DevOps originally contained security in there, but because if you don't specifically name it, sometimes that message gets lost. And I think we are just wanting to call it out. Now, talking about value stream management, then. Again, as I mentioned, it is not new, but the message got lost. But I think in the recent years, it's starting to gain attention again. And I'm just flashing this slide that I found, a Gartner report that came out in October 2020. And Gartner is actually coming out and saying, hey, value stream is going to be the future of DevOps. Actually, there's a little bit of an ironic thing there. I feel, value streams has always been there, but now we are saying that it's the future of DevOps. It's a bit weird, but I think, that's it. It is what it is. We are calling it out and we are saying, hey, I think DevOps has gone to a stage where automation, we can do it today. Some do it better than others. Others are still learning. But whatever it is something that we need to, we need to know that it's just part of, the end goal of DevOps. And I just wanted to call it out here. Let me just go back here and take a look at my notes. Now, when I talk to some customers about this, customers tell me, hey, we already have data, right? I use Jira, Jira captures my work planning items. I have dashboards. I have, those kind of things. So what is this? What is this value stream management? What is this data-driven DevOps any different? And again, I want to take us back to the 3 ways of DevOps. Again, something that came from the initial stages of DevOps. And one of the key things about that 3 way of DevOps is flow, right? It's about optimizing the system as a whole. Because if we optimize any particular work center in an end-to-end value stream, we are only going to move the problem around. We are not optimizing the whole. So what we're saying here is, even if you have data, but they are seated across different repositories, that's not good enough. What we're calling data-driven here is about the ability to correlate data from different process steps to gain insights when they are correlated together. And I just want to flash this one slide that I have here. That kind of like tells this story, right? Data can tell us about our speed and stability story. Now, when we go out today, talk to people about DevOps, when we ask people, why do you want to do DevOps? People come back and tell me, I want to be faster. Okay, cool. That means lead time, right? Lead time is faster. So I have very nice lead time here. I've got 2 teams, their lead time is getting better and better and better over time. And if I just look at my Jira data, this is what it's going to tell me. But then again, if I have another set of correlated data, it can tell me a very different story. So in this case, you're seeing, if I pull in my deployment data that I can pull in from my continuous deployment automation tools, it's going to be able to tell me how many success or fails that I have. Now, when I put these two together, these 2 teams don't look that same anymore, right? We can see Team A has a lot more failures. Team B has less failures. Now, that's cool. We get some additional insights, but why? Right? And that's when we need to pull in the third set of data from the throughput side of things. And it's going to now tell me, or maybe the quality side of things. It's going to give me additional visibility into why, although we are fast, we are not doing it that well. Whereas opposed to Team B, we are fast, but, we are really doing it well. And from these, we can then take Team A and Team B together and say, hey, Team A, what can you learn from Team B? What is Team B doing that is, that is different, and go from there. And that's what we mean by data-driven secure DevOps. It's not about just having data, but it's about the ability to just kind of like correlate everything together. And I talked a lot here. So Ramesh, just pass the ball to you. You work with, HCL Software. We have more than 20 products. You work with all these different teams. What kind of secure DevOps data do we capture? And how do we actually, how does that actually make us optimize, or change the way we go about doing our activities?
Yeah, so when you're dealing with multiple applications and products, that's when the complexity grows. Now we have set up automation, as I said earlier, but the challenge still what I have is I don't have visibility into what is happening across various applications, and each of these applications use a different set of CI/CD tools, right? If I want to pinpoint whenever I have a production incident, I'm just kind of in a state where I'm in a bridge with the customer saying that, okay, there is a production incident. Can you tell me where the problem is? And now I have to go back and go through manually each and every place as to find the root cause. So that is kind of not a good experience, I would say. And at the same time, when we're dealing with this kind of a complex ecosystem of applications and tools, CI/CD tools, the visibility of what is going on in the whole value, starting from requirements all the way to delivery, is very critical. So that is where we build the product, which is HCL Accelerate, to give that kind of a visibility. Again, value stream that we called out multiple places. We mentioned about VSM, which is nothing but a value stream management. It is similar to if you take a typical manufacturing or a production line, it will all start from your raw material all the way to finished products. Now there could be multiple bottlenecks in between, and if there is a bottleneck, where can I go and see my data, right? So rather than going and sending a raw data into a system and then going and figuring out, as you rightly said, Stephen, the correlation is very important, and the intelligent data or the normalized data is very important, and that is where we kind of implemented in our own product team aggregating data from multiple set of tools that is involved in the delivery of this whole value to the customer. And we were able to normalize that data in an efficient way with the modern tools and technologies, so that as a leader to my team, or the head of my engineering head in India, I was able to kind of tell where the bottlenecks are there. Similarly, this data is not stopping at my level. Even my boss, who is based out of in a different geographical location, they were able to see what is going on sitting in that place, rather than setting up a call and put it in a PowerPoint or spreadsheet and talking about all those things. So yeah, we have implemented the data correlation in our team, so that it is really benefiting my release managers, my scrum masters, also the group heads and the leaders.
Okay. And this you mentioned Accelerate is built for something that internally we wanted something like that, and that's when Accelerate, the product, started its life, and that's very
Exactly,
interesting
yeah.
for me.
Yes. So that's all the
See?
feedback from our own developers, right? The whole evolution of the product is about, we started this based on the feedback from our customers and our own developers. Yes.
Right. See, I told you, every time I talk to you, I learn something new. So Ramesh, I learned something new again. Thank you for that. And I'll now go to Ashita, right? So Ashita, in your experience, again, working with, a lot of these clients across the globe, what are some, data points that you see has been captured, and when I say data points, it's correlated data, how have them been captured, and perhaps why, if you can share a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sure. Well, Stephen, when we talk about, say, this DevSecOps, or say data-driven DevSecOps, VSM discussions generally come into picture. So VSM, as we all know, can be done manually, can also be done through tools. I'll share an interesting example on how we have used VSM for capability building of our team members. In HCL, for capability building, we use drive first model, right? I'm not sure if you all are aware of hack to hire process that is integrated with DevSecOps pipelines. Just to explain this, thank you. Thank you for bringing this slide. So for capability building, we used data that is available in our DevSecOps pipelines. And this is otherwise used in production system, but we integrated it in our hiring and career progression lifecycle. Data in the DevOps pipelines is used to assess whether the candidate is competent or not, or whether the candidate lies at a certain level. As you can see in the slide here, the levels lie from novice to advanced beginner, competent, proficient, and expert. Now, if we want to assess the current level of our engineers, right? So how can we do that? One way is that we set up different assessment mechanism to find out that where they stand. But other way is we used data in the DevSecOps pipelines. We used reliability metrics, scalability metrics, performance rating from SonarQube, code coverage, stability aspects that come from JDepend, NDepend, Git metrics to assess, and we have a mapping on the threshold an engineer has to cross to tag himself to a particular drive first maturity. For example, if a Java engineer claims to be a competent engineer, we expect his security ratings to be at A, and rest of the ratings to be, let's say, B or better. Same goes with other ratings like proficient or so on. We define thresholds on data received from our DevOps pipelines, based on which we assess what the drive first level of engineer is. And not only this, we use this data for his career progression as well. As this is transparent, data is available for all the competencies. And if somebody wants to move horizontal, somebody wants to change the competency, they can do that themselves because the process is automated and available for all.
Right. Nice. So I guess I mean, this is how, we should be actually capturing capabilities, right? I mean, I remember my managers, when I was a developer, my manager sent out an email with an Excel sheet. Can you rate yourself how good you are in Java? And of course, me being me, I'll rate myself, hey, I'm a guru, I know there's no one better than me. But I think using something like that, essentially, you're getting real data. And that real data correlated with other data gives you an ability to rank somebody in a very, very real and I just lost that word. In a very real way, I would say. Thanks for sharing,
that's
Ashita.
right.
That's great. So. And I just want to give Peter maybe an opportunity to talk about application security standpoint from a data perspective. What are the key data that people actually capture as part of secure DevOps to drive the secure side of things.
Yeah. So I mean, Stephen, obviously from a products perspective, we always try to kind of think about what are some of the things that we can help in terms of collecting these data to help our customers to basically, make better sound decisions and influences on their software development lifecycle. Because again, when we talk about application security, it has to kind of tightly integrate into SDLC. But in order for us to do that, we have to have some sort of data and information about how where we want to collect these data as well inside of the SDLC. So one of the things is I think one of the challenges that we see a lot from customers is that they have so many applications in the organizations. They have so many different types of technologies they're using to scan, and as well as so many different pockets of people, like tons of different developers in different departments, and people are kind of working in silos. People are working in in different geographies that they don't talk to each other, but these are all things where everyone is doing some sort of security testing, but how do we collect these data and make some decisions out of it, right? In terms of, how's the health of a particular application? What is the risk of that application? We need to be able to kind of to quickly pinpoint and know and understand if some of these mission critical applications, if they have a lot of vulnerabilities, how are we doing in terms of fixing it? And if we're too slow to do it, what is the contingency plan in terms of being able to kind of buy us more time or buy the developer more time to fix it, right? So these are kind of the data that we're trying to help the customer to collect, not just the fact that I have a bunch of vulnerabilities from a static analysis perspective, but DAS perspective. But these data actually help us to understand how we should basically look into certain areas of the application and be able to kind of protect them in priority. So that's one of the things that one of the biggest challenges is that there's so many applications and so many data points that we have to be able to kind of bring that all together into a tool, right?
Right.
Yeah. So again, every time we talk to our clients about it, it always kind of goes back to the fact of what kind of data do you want to collect, and what kind of data will help you to make these decisions on how you integrate into your software development lifecycle. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it sounds like you mentioned the where do I do my scanning? What do I look for? What technology am I working on? And all these three are things that correlate together. And it can be very, very different. Too many things to list in probably a webinar like this. But those are the thoughts process that audiences on the webinar today need to take away to say, hey, if I'm going to be talking about correlating security data into my DevOps toolchain, then these are the things that I need to consider. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. That makes sense. Okay, so I'm conscious. We're talking a lot there. So let me just move on to. Okay, so we've pretty much established what secure data-driven secure DevOps is. It is not just automation. It's about being able to pull data from different sources, correlate them to make business decisions that will help us drive more value. And I think that is how I would put secure-driven secure-driven data-driven secure DevOps.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So let's go into the next section and talk about how, if we have something like that, we can. It will change the way we work. And when we say change the way we work, we are talking about changing people. We are talking about changing processes. We're talking about changing technology. And if we originally when I was planning this webinar, I was thinking of going each and every point to talk about people, how does it change people, process, how will it change process. But upon closer inspection, I think it's the impact will not be in buckets like that. The impact will likely hit something that will then have a knock-on effect on something else. So, for example, if we decide that we're going to go with a microservices architecture, that's a technology change. But because we go in a microservices architecture, I'm going to have impact on the people because I will need to skill them up to manage a Kubernetes environment. And of course, then my process of doing development, my process of doing deployment, and my capturing, my monitoring and observation of the applications will change as well. And that will then lead back to technology because I will need new tools to look for to be able to monitor those changes. So I moved away from a bucket approach to, okay, let's say data-driven secure DevOps. How is it going to affect or impact or change the way we work? Very quickly, I'll kick the ball rolling with a very, very quick example. And I pulled this from our Accelerate tool. And you can see within Accelerate, what we can immediately get is a value stream view, right? A value stream view that shows me end to end where work starts and where work ends, okay, in production. And of course, as we track the work, Accelerate will then start calculating things like the data, correlating the data, and it will give me information like lead time and cycle time. It will tell me, in this case, the example is, I can see that my lead time is 59 days, and it's actually getting bad from a trend perspective. And all this information is calculated, right? Now, once I have that visibility, it will then allow me to triage and try to look into, okay, so if his lead time is bad, cycle time is good. That means cycle time is from in progress to production. That's good. That means my problem sits up here. And if I wanted to drill down, I wanted to go in, I can actually say, okay, let's take a look at how work is spread across the team. And, by looking at how work is spread across the team, I now have a better idea. And it tells me, hey, Axel here is doing a lot of work, whereas the other team members are not doing that much of work. And maybe that's why the lead time is growing exponentially. And then it will then ask, we will then ask the question, am I putting something new, or is this a request coming in for a particular part of my application where Axel is the expert and no one else? And if I have that visibility, then I can say, oh, maybe I need to improve the process, to change the process, or maybe I need to enable some other people to have that skill that Axel has, which will then balance out that load. And it gives me visibility into maybe value areas that I can start focusing on, and things like that. We can't go into details, obviously, but that is what we are talking about here. And when we start making changes like that based on the visibility that we get, we can then start to change the way people work, the process around it, and the technology that we use. Okay, so I'm just going to come back here, and I'm just going to pass it back to Ashita. Maybe you want to share about some experiences you had where you've seen how data-driven secure DevOps have changed IT organizations.
Right, sure, Peter. Sorry, sure, Stephen. Well, when it comes to using data-driven DevOps for people, process, and technology, I would say for people, it is about humanizing DevOps through data. Right?
Okay.
For processes, it's about, of course, tracking and planning with data. And technology, what you want eventually is business agility, right? So data-driven business agility is what we're looking for when you want technology. And here you showed a view of HCL Accelerate, our value stream mapping tool. I must share that we use this tool a lot for many clients, and we get valuable information from this tool. I'm going to share an example. You can bring back the slide, the same HCL Accelerate slide here. So right. So here the example is around how we introduced gamification based on this data from value stream to uh, to incentivize adoption of a new practice. Okay. So we defined our end-to-end delivery processes, and here in a value stream map, we started measuring cycle time, wait time, lead time at each step of the process when we feature moves from to be state to done state. So gamification is when you try to intervene in the process to change something. How can you use
Okay.
same data that comes out of VSM to create incentives of adoption of something new? So here,
Mm.
based on the view that I'm looking at, I believe that my integration cycles are too long because they are more coarse-grained than fine-grained. And here you want to have a fine-grained integration enabled in your Scrum team. And
All right.
fine-grained integration is directly correlated to frequent code commits. And here you want to introduce this practice that every engineer has to logically commit his code at least once a day. And now that can be gamified by saying whosoever has number of code commits to code chunks, accordingly you get, if the number is X or Y, accordingly you get 10 points or 20 points. And that should ideally help, right? So
Yeah.
you get, yeah, we gamified it, we introduced a new process, and adoption is also encouraging. So that's an example. I felt that using HCL Accelerate, we could actually, push this adoption further,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Well, again, Ashita, is something new that I'm learning here. And you are using this tool with your clients, right? And
Right.
that is a real good use case, right? Around taking the data from the tool and using it to to encourage, to drive, to
Right.
motivate, right? Behavior change
Right.
in developers. Amazing.
Right. There are a few more examples. Now, here, our industry is moving towards cross functional teams, right?
Right.
For one of our major clients in Europe, we noticed that there.
Oops, Ashita, I lost you.
Okay, but you should be able to.
Yeah. Okay. You're back. Yep.
I'm back. All right. Okay, sorry. So I was mentioning that for one of our clients in Europe, we implemented VSM to find out where are the blockers. Okay, we implemented VSM in their SDLC process. When we first did VSM, we got data, we found handoffs, we found wait times in each of the delivery process. We noticed those wait times were quite high. Now, why those wait times were high? Because Scrum Masters were actually becoming blockers. They were becoming like postmasters. So a lot of things were being held at their level. And
Right.
that's when decision was taken to completely remove Scrum Masters. And and chapters were introduced. So chapter leads were established. Agile coaches were invited. So that's the cultural change that it triggered. And now it's been about a year that in that culture for that client there are zero Scrum Masters. And same
Wow.
goes with testers as well. We wanted to encourage movement towards cross-functional team. So, and VSM is a continuous process. You can't just do it once and then sit on it. You have a
Yeah.
continuous process. Once you achieve your unique constraint, you know that now this is no longer a blocker, do it again. So once Scrum Master, we found that now that blocker is clear. Now what next? We started again measuring value streams to see if things have improved. And then we noticed that collaboration between testers and developers, so that handoff was taking more time. Test and ops resources resulted in wait time in the value stream. Hence, it was decided after certain experiments to have full stack engineers, and now that team is with zero testers as well. So zero Scrum Masters, zero testers, fully automated with with chapter leads and guilds are established.
Great. Wow. Huge changes,
Yes.
and all because of the visibility that you get, when you do VSM,
Right.
and that's great. That's great. I'm conscious of time. We have 10 minutes left, so I'm going to pass the ball to Peter. Just to maybe Peter, you want to talk a little bit about your thoughts on this, maybe some examples that you have before I'm passing it over to Ramesh, and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah, I think for me, I see customers change in the way of how they do things as well, from a product perspective too. Because in the past, we would have customers we're looking at in terms of dynamic scanning or static scanning. And, these scanning tools take a very, very long time, right? And sometimes for the customers, they feel like, hey, our go to market, our release cycle are very, very fast. So when things start to change, like when DevOps starts to change, the release cycles are a lot faster, and we actually as a tool, we also have to start adapting to that. So the way we see customers work in the past, they can sit there and wait for a dynamic scan for a couple days to finish, but nowadays it's like, I need to get this done in an hour or two in order to continue with my my next test phase, right, and my next release cycle. So we as the product itself, we also have to evolve along with DevOps as well. And one of the things that we continue to educate the customer is that it's no longer about just scanning and pointing and shooting and scanning and getting results from the tool, but we always go back to the part where since things are going rapidly and everything is requiring you to make sound decisions on every step of the software development lifecycle, then we need to go back to looking at metrics and reporting, right? Because these metrics and reporting will help us identify exactly where we need to work on in the SDLC. Maybe you need to get security auditors to come in to help you with things. Perhaps the metrics and reporting could also tell you things that you never know. Maybe your developers aren't educated in security testing, so perhaps they need to be educated on that before they actually go and put their hands on the tool. So these are things that we go into, like the next level of discussion, other than just talking about the straight tools and implementation itself, right? So like along the years, exactly, the values and and you can see like along the years, the discussion point kind of changes throughout the year. If you look at 6 years ago to now, the discussion point is definitely much different all the time. So
that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Exactly. The focus has changed as well, right? So now we are talking about end-to-end value stream. It's always been there, but it's just the focus is not there. But as technology change, microservices, we can push things out so much faster. But then it introduces a whole different set of security needs that we need to have. Ramesh, so just pass the ball to you for a few minutes before we actually just wrap up and take a look at the quick questions to see if there's any that's come in.
Yeah, so Stephen, you talked about people, process, and technology. So how we are putting that in practice within our own team is something that I would like to share. So if you go back to slide number 10, please.
10. This one? Yeah.
Yes. So if you see here, how we are, addressing some of the providing more data-driven insights to these personas is what we have implemented even within our own product development team. So there's an agile team, there is a transformation leader, and there's a DevOps team and release managers. And some of these aggregated data that we are pulling from, it could be an app scan, or it could be a Jenkins, or it could be Jira, GitHub, or any of the tools that available by each of the development team. We are kind of aggregating and providing a correlation of that data and providing visibility or insights into multiple personas. For example, in the case of agile team, typically a stand-up call will be happening every day, by driven by Scrum Master. And for them, they don't have to go into multiple tools. They directly get into this particular tool, and they're taking a whole status check in that stand-up call and identify any bottlenecks there and take a remediation quickly. So that is how we are practically doing nowadays. Looking into that top left, that particular dots view. And then coming back to DevOps team, of course, if I have several applications, then how do I track my versions across multiple environments and multiple applications? I don't have to go into different set of tools, 10, 20 tools, to see what is happening in these applications, what version, what build I kind of deployed in these environments. So this kind of a pipeline aggregation view solved or eliminated a lot of manual effort by looking into this kind of insight. Similarly, on the top right, transformation leaders, of course, Stephen already presented that with giving a good example of team A, team B scenarios where which team is performing very well, so that we can learn from that team. Also Peter has shared about AppScan and how can we get those metrics directly into this particular Accelerate product, and then have everything in one place from multiple sources. Also, the other interesting part is about the release manager, the bottom right, where typically release manager, we used to have a Excel sheet where we track all the release tasks prior to the release. Now, I think that pain has gone. They directly come into this tool, create automatically some tasks that they can trigger directly from this particular product, Accelerate, and then track everything end to end. They can schedule it. They can kind of automate certain tasks. If it is a ServiceNow, probably I can directly integrate with ServiceNow and create a change ticket and get that approved by change approval board prior to the release. So all those sort of things, I'm able to do it currently in my own team. Also, we are sharing this best practice across multiple teams, product teams within HCL. So I hope that definitely this kind of a data insight provide value for those teams.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. Thanks, Ramesh, for that. Yeah. So naturally, you are the guys behind building this tool. I can sense the passion that you have in talking about it, and so am I. And it's great. Yeah. So a VSM tool here essentially can help. If customers don't already have one. So I think we are just at the last 3 minutes of the session. I originally wanted to just talk about HCL Software, what we do. Again, we are a tools vendor. We provide solutions across the entire DevOps tool chain. But very importantly is we have a tool agnostic VSM tool, which is the Accelerate tool we talk about, where it actually goes into all the other technologies that you have, whether it's from HCL or not, and it's able to just pull it together to give you that end-to-end value stream view and have data correlated on it, so that you do not need to go everywhere, pull the data in, go to Accelerate, you get everything you need. And with that, I'm just going to wrap up. Let me very quickly take a look at the questions that we have that have come in. Okay, and I see one question is, does AppScan provide SCA, SAST, DEST, IAST, RESP, and all of these? And I think that's a question for Peter.
Yeah, so we definitely do provide an end-to-end, application security solution. So dynamic analysis, static analysis. We also have, IAST and as well as SCA. We offer both on-premise solution and also the cloud solution as well. And then quite recently, we also do static analysis on mobile, which is pretty neat as well for us. So yeah, we do provide kind of like all the solutions here at HCL, and it's kind of one-stop shop where you can get everything.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And this is one more question, and we are at the last minute about the different sources. And I think we talked about it, about the ability to collate, combine different sources of data to give you that view, so that in your retrospectives, you're not collecting data. In your retrospectives, you are actually reviewing the data that you have to improve yourself, which is what the retrospective is all about. Okay, so we are at the top of the hour. And just last but not least, we talked about a lot of things. There's certainly a lot more depth that we can cover, not in the webinar. But if you're interested, scan this QR code. It will bring you to our website, which will then give you access to ebooks and reports. And with that, thank you everyone for coming. We are right at the top of the hour. Thank you very much. Thanks to the panelists, Peter, Ashita, and Ramesh. And have a nice day, everyone.
Thank you so much, Stephen, Ashita,
Good day,
Ramesh,
everyone.
and certainly for audience reference, this webinar will be available on demand as well. So whenever you have time later on, you can watch the entire stream on demand at your own convenience. So thanks again, and have a nice day. Have a nice evening ahead. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.